You're listening to an episode of the Abigail Pugh podcast with, you guessed it, Abigail Pugh. I'm an introverted mama who took my online business from 0 to 7 figures in 15 months selling my own digital products on social media. And guess what? I did it all with my 3-year-old daughter no less than 3 feet away from me at all times. Now I'm bringing you everything I've learned about building a wildly profitable online business that supports your life while allowing you to truly live it. Get ready for raw, honest conversations with entrepreneurs making thousands per month selling their own digital products and people just like you who ditch self-doubt to create the life they've always wanted. If you're ready to make more money, have more impact, and still have time for the things that matter most, you're in the right place. Grab your sneakers, head out on your hot girl walk, and let's dive in.
Okay, so if you know me, you know that I'm a last minute girly, and it's honestly just how my brain works. Like if I don't have a deadline, like a hard deadline, it's not going to happen. So I was supposed to record this episode last week. Then it was, absolute chaos with my sister and her 2 kids under 2 here for Christmas. Everybody at one point or another was sick. Then I got hit with what feels like the plague, and it was awful. Like I haven't been this sick in a long time. And I know a lot of other people had the same experience, and I lost my voice, and it was just awful. But I feel somewhat human today, and my podcast editor needs to edit this before this goes live on Tuesday, tomorrow, when you're listening to it. So here we go. Talk about doing things messy and just going for it, even when it's not the perfect ideal situation. But today we're going to talk about my 2024 goals that I did not hit. Now, I polled y'all over on Instagram to see if you wanted me to share the goals I didn't hit in 2024 or to share my 2025 goals. And it was literally a 1 vote difference. So thanks for making that easy for me, guys. No, I'm just kidding. So I will share my 2025 goals on next week's podcast episode. I'm also going to share a reel this week talking through these goals that I have for 2025 so I can remix that at the end of the year when I do or don't hit those goals. That is one of my favorite types of content, where you're just kind of sharing what you think you're going to do. And then at the end of the year, you get to kind of side by side see if you hit those goals. And for me, I know that I know a lot of people feel this way, but I used to feel nervous to set goals because I felt like, okay, if I set these and I don't hit them, then I'm going to feel ashamed or embarrassed that I didn't hit them. But the way I look at goals now is totally different, right? Like I want something to work towards, right? Does that mean I'm always going to hit my goal exactly? No, but I'm more likely to do more and be better if I have a goal that I am working towards. I also set good, better, and best goals for certain things that are kind of out of my control. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. And that really helps me not feel like I'm a failure if I don't hit my goal exactly. But now that we have all that out of the way, let's dive into the goals I didn't hit in 2024. Now, as a little reminder, 2023 was my year of yes. And 2024 was my year of, you guessed it, no. And it definitely affected my revenue, but I'm perfectly okay with that because I felt like I had so much more room in 2024 to heal and grow and really just take care of myself. Because no matter how many times I try to convince myself that I can just go, realistically, I can't pour from an empty cup. And going through chronic illness and mold detoxing and just so many things, 2024 was just so much more sustainable for me in life, in business, and everything. And I'm totally okay making less money if it means that what I'm doing, what I'm building is more sustainable for me and my family. So let's get into the goals I set and the ones I didn't hit. Okay, so the first goal that I set in 2024 that I did not hit, and that was walking every single day. Now, I have this really cool calendar in my office. It's called a big ass calendar. That's literally the name. And it shows you a little box for like the entire year. So you can see your whole year in a glance. And I love using that to track things that I want to try and do every single day. So this past year, I bought little stickers that correspond with each thing. So walking every single day, if that happened, I would put a little red star sticker on there to show that I went on a walk that day. And it was really cool visually just to see how I was doing. I knew, like I said, going into this, that I wasn't going to be able to walk every single day as someone that was dealing with a lot of chronic illness and chronic migraines and mold detoxing, which I'm still kind of dealing with some migraines, not as many anymore. Definitely, it's so much less. It's so much better. But in the beginning of the year, there were some days where I couldn't even get out of bed and it was really awful. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to walk every single day, but I really wanted to set the intention to try and walk every single day. So I counted up all those little stars on my big ass calendar, and I actually went on just over 200 walks in 2024, which I'm so proud of. Some of these walks, I would listen to podcast episodes. Sometimes I would answer DMs. If you guys got voice notes from me where I'm out of breath, it's probably because I was walking up a hill when I did it. And sometimes I would literally just go on a walk with nothing in my ear, just quiet. I find that when I do that, it's a little hard for me not to try and think about business ideas. And then I don't usually bring my phone and I have nowhere to store what I'm thinking of. So that's hard for me and something I'm working on. But over 200 walks in 2024. Super proud of that. Didn't hit the goal, but again, the goal is not necessarily there to always hit it, but there to reach for more and try to do more. My next goal was 100,000 Instagram followers, which I did not hit. I think I'm at 95.6 today, I want to say. I checked earlier and then I totally forgot to write the number down, but I think I did really good and I'm super proud of that. I'm so proud of my community. And in the beginning of the year, I was really focused on growth. And then, a few things in business changed and I completely changed my business model and completely changed where I wanted to take my business. So the followers stopped coming in for a little bit, or I should say the followers stopped coming in as frequently as they were before because I was in a place of where do I want to take my business? And, if your messaging slows down and you kind of don't know where you're trying to go, it is harder to grow. I tell people all the time, when you know exactly who you want to serve and how you want to serve them, growing on Instagram, I don't want to say easy, but it's easier to do when you know that. So when I had some unsure moments, it really felt hard to grow. But now I feel really good and I'm so proud of the community that I have built. And moving forward, when it comes to Instagram and goals for that, I'm really going to try and stay away from setting numbers. So in 2025, my goal isn't going to be 200K Instagram followers. My goal instead, which I haven't decided exactly on it yet, but it's going to be something more along the lines of how many times I want to post. Do I want to go live once a week? More so things that I have control over. And when it comes to Instagram, I definitely recommend for you to set those goals as well, because we have no control over how many followers we're going to get exactly, right? What we do have control over is how often we're posting, if we're doing lives, if we're doing collaborations with other people. So that will be more of my focus for 2025. I believe I might just still throw out a number because I think it's kind of fun, but I don't want to set all my goals according to vanity metrics because it's so much more than that. But next up was weekly date nights with my husband. And again, we did not go every single week, but we went so much more this year on date nights because we were way more intentional about making these date nights happen. And actually, a few weeks ago, we went on a date night, how we always do, right? So I put my daughter to bed, I lay with her until she falls asleep, and then my mother-in-law will come and stay at the house while we go out on a date. So my daughter Bean is always asleep when we're gone. And she never wakes up anymore, right? When I put her to bed, she's 4 now, she stays asleep. And we were 20 minutes away. We were going on a double date too. It's the first double date we had done. We were so excited. And I get a call from my mother-in-law and she's like, oh my gosh, Charlie woke up. She's screaming. She's like, I don't know what to do. She's like, she won't listen. She doesn't want to talk, right? She woke up and she was super flustered. Why is my mom not here? What's going on? So she was so upset. So we turned around immediately. We canceled the date night. I came home. I was talking with Charlie. We were just talking it out. And she was like, Mom, I really wish you would have just told me. And I was like, oh, okay. So can I put you to bed and then Grammy will be here and we'll go on a date night? And she said, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. She's very good at expressing herself. And I said, okay, so how can Papa and I go on date nights? Because we love each other and we need to prioritize our relationship and spend time together. And she was sad. She's like, well, I want to go too. But then we came up with a plan where she can stay home with either my mom or my mother-in-law, watch a movie while me and my husband, Trevor, go out on a date. And she felt comfortable with that. And I just felt really good knowing that now she's good staying with people when we're gone. She's almost 4. And I think that was, recently, maybe 5 times total, she's stayed with my mom or my mother-in-law without me or my husband. She's always just been very close with both of us and didn't want to leave us. And I never wanted to force her to stay with someone until she was ready. That's very much her personality. Like when she's ready to do something, she's ready. But until then, she ain't ready. And I don't push her. It was the same thing with potty training, which is so random. But when I potty trained her, it was like I didn't push it at all. And then one day I think she had just turned 3 and she was like, I don't want to use my diaper. I'm ready to use the potty. And I think she had like 3 times where she didn't make it to the toilet and that was it. And she was just done. Right. So I've kind of always just, when she's ready for something, she's ready. So all that to say, in 2025, I'm taking this one into 2025 too, trying to do weekly date nights now that she's able to, have a movie night with my mom while we go out, because it's really easy when you own a business to pour everything you have into the business and the family time. And then the time with your spouse kind of gets forgotten sometimes, which I don't want that to happen. I love my husband so much. I love going on dates with him. And so I'm definitely taking that priority into 2025 as well. Now, this one, the one y'all have been waiting for, did I hit my revenue goal? Which obviously, if I'm talking about it on this episode, I did not. And something I will say as well is that when I set revenue goals, especially, I always do a good, better, and best goal. And this year, I hit my good goal, right? And obviously, I would love to hit my better or best goal. I did last year. I hit my best goal. It was insane. And this year, like I said, it was my year of no. But I'm so proud and happy that I still hit that good goal, right? Would I have liked to hit my better or best goal? Absolutely, right? It's really fun to hit those goals and it feels really good. But at the end of the day, this is why I set those good, better, or best goals when it comes to revenue. Because something else that I really had to learn this year was that my worth is not connected to how much money I make. And that was really hard for me because I was putting so much of my worth into how well my business was doing. So the fact that I hit my good revenue goal for the year and I'm happy and I feel good, I'm really proud of myself for doing that work and putting the work in, because it's really hard to disconnect those two things. It's hard to not feel like what you're doing is completely related to your worth, because like I said, the money you make has nothing to do with your self-worth. So if you're struggling with that, just write that down. Okay, the next one that we didn't do this year that I was really hopeful that we would is find a property to build our home on. We need a little bit more space in our home. We knew that the house that we bought in 2023 would be our first home. Eventually, we'd love to turn it into a rental, but we need a little bit more room and we want more land. We love being outside. And right now we just have a really small backyard. So our goal this year was to find some property to either build on or a property that was already being built. We're not super picky about that part, very picky about other things. My husband wants more space in the house. I want more land. And so I was super bummed we didn't find that. I'm still really hopeful. I know that because it didn't happen this year doesn't mean it's not going to happen at all. And again, this was something that I put on my goals and my vision board for 2024, but I was open to it not necessarily happening that year. But we did so much searching. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think we found the neighborhood that we want to be in, which is amazing. It's really hard to make these types of decisions when you're thinking of like 10 years out, right? Because the house that we buy next, we would really love it to be the house that we're in for at least 10 years. And there's just like so many things to consider. And it's just decision overload, right? Like I get so fatigued by these kinds of decisions. So while I'm so grateful that we are even in the position to look for something like this, we didn't find it this year. So maybe 2025 we will. That is our goal. And yeah. Okay, next goal that I didn't hit. And this one was, there was no strategy behind this goal because I had never launched a podcast before. I didn't know what was normal for downloads or not. So I launched my podcast on April 30th. So in the 8 months of 2024 that I had a podcast, my goal was to hit 100,000 downloads. Again, that was not really realistic for me. And I'm super proud of what I did hit, but it was almost half or a little bit more than half. So I ended up hitting 55,845 downloads as of today. So we still have 1.5 days left, but didn't hit my goal for my podcast downloads. And again, I'm totally okay with that. I set that goal with just like, okay, cool. Let's see what I can do. But I didn't necessarily like attach success to 100,000 downloads because I didn't even know if that was possible or not. But going into 2025, I think I am going to aim for that. I love this podcast. It's been so much fun just to get a little bit deeper with you guys and be able to yap a little bit more. If you can't tell, I love to just chat things out, and it's been so fun. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being one of those 55,845 downloads for my podcast this year. It's wild. I'm so grateful. Okay. Last but not least, the last goal that I did not hit. This is kind of a weird goal. I don't want to say weird. It's just different. But in 2024, my goal was to do no one-on-one calls. Because here's the deal. I love one-on-one calls. I recommend them in the beginning of your business if it applies to what you're teaching. But they are very mentally hard for me. And especially since a lot of this year I was dealing with chronic migraines and detoxing and mold and all these things that I don't have control over how I feel. And how I wake up feeling, right? If you're someone that deals with chronic pain or migraines, you know what I mean, right? There are some days where I wake up and I can't get out of bed, I can't even function. And so one-on-one calls, when I book those, I'm always kind of living in fear that I'm going to wake up with a migraine on a day that I have a one-on-one call and not be able to function. So in 2024, my goal was to take 0 one-on-one calls, which in 2023, I did over 80 one-on-one calls in the entire year, which is a lot for me. That's a lot of one-on-one calls for me. And so, like I said, in 2024, my goal was to take none, which I didn't do it. I ended up doing, I think it was 18 one-on-one calls, and I loved them. I gave myself a little grace. I said, hey, I really want to do these. And so I booked, I think it was 2 or 3 months where I did them, and I had a lot of fun doing them, and they were great. But I was also kind of reminded that I don't have as much, I don't have as much power over my health as other people do, just because of the mold and the chronic migraines and all these things that are very out of my control. And actually one day too, I got food poisoning and I had to reschedule 3 one-on-one calls. And I hate that feeling. I don't want to reschedule things with people. I want to be someone that they feel like they can, trust and rely on. And obviously I have the best customers. They were all amazing and so kind and totally understood. And I really, was very clear with them and let them know, I'm so sorry. This is not like me. I hate rescheduling things. And I am a reliable person. So when I can't be reliable and it's out of my control, it kills me inside. So I don't know if I'm going to set that same goal again for 2025. I don't know. I like the freedom of opening one-on-one calls when I feel like it and when I feel like diving in a little deeper with people. So we'll see. Okay, you guys, those are all the goals that I did not hit in 2024. Make sure you come back next week. I will tell you all of my 2025 goals. I'm so excited to share them and dream big with you guys. Something I love about goals, like I said earlier, is that they're not necessarily there to be set to say that if you don't hit them, you're not successful or you didn't, do good things that year. It's just to have something to work towards and to have something to inspire you and keep you going, because I can tell you this, 2025 is going to have its hard moments. We all know that. There's never a year where hard things aren't going to happen. But when you set these goals and when you get really strategic about, okay, what can I do every single day to try and work towards that goal? I can pretty much, okay, I can't guarantee, but I can almost guarantee that you're more likely to hit them. And something else I will say, I think the stat is if you write down your goal, I think it's don't quote me on this, 43% more likely to hit it if you write it down, which is why I have my big ass calendar. I write down my goals. I get very specific with my goals so that every day I can take steps towards hitting those actual goals. And one last random thing, if you are in Rich Girl Community, I am going to do something for the first 90 days of 2025, where for 90 days, I'm going to have one digital product that I talk about every single day. And I'm not going to do it in the same way. Some days it'll be an email, some days it'll be a story, some days it'll be a reel, but I'm going to focus on one product for 90 days because I think there's something to be said about focusing on one product and really narrowing down the messaging and really getting clear with your audience that this is what you can help them with. And it's a fun little goal that I'm doing. And I'm going to kind of be sharing what I do every single day inside of my community so that if they kind of want to follow along and do the same thing and try that and focus on one product, they totally can. So if you're not in Rich Girl Community, make sure you get in. It's the place to be. It's my favorite place to be. And it's where most of my focus is going to be going in 2025. Love you, mean it, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you learned anything from this episode, I would love it if you could share it over on your Instagram stories and tag me at Abigail Pugh. Until next time, love you, mean it.